Day by the pool today, thought I would just do a quick video to show you that it has now been confirmed everything we knew about that passenger ferry. It was a bomb, and they found, I've heard reports of 2, I've also heard reports of 3 others that were unexploded aboard this, basically, tourist ferry. Now, we heard mechanical failure, we heard could have been a kitchen that had a little propane tank, fuel fumes that had accumulated in an open-air ferry out the Gulf of Mexico, really. But it's amazing because I'll just play this forward for you real quick and see what they have to say about it.
Dozens of people, including 2 Americans, hurt when a fireball rips through a ferry. Just look at this video. You can see debris flying over the sides of the ship. The ferry letting off passengers in Mexico's resort town, Playa, Carmen. No one seriously injured. The cause of the blast is still unknown.
And of course, that's what they will still report. Of course, unknown, even though the title says clearly this is what happened. So, the U.S. has issued an alert to be wary down there. I personally wouldn't get on any form of transportation in Mexico at this point, whether it be a bus or cab or an Uber or anything, because the Zetas have taken responsibility for this. And the Zetas are a very dangerous gang. And before anybody says, this is why we need the wall, this is why we need the wall, well, guys, I'm telling you, just to make sure that I'm covering everything here, this is a maritime executive that talks about the explosives, and it also talks about the Zetas. Yeah, here it is. Governor State Quintana Roo initially said the explosion was likely caused by technical failure. Security footage appears to show the blast originated midship on a passenger deck, a gang aligned with the Zetas. Cartel claimed responsibility for the explosion. And the embassy, U.S. Embassy said it is now, for in fact, an explosion from a bomb. Now, I've talked about the elections going on down there. This is Columbia Reports. Okay. Colombia police have arrested 4 drug trafficking suspects who are believed to have ties to Mexico's violent Los Zetas cartel and are wanted for extradition by the United States. Okay, so this isn't just a Mexican issue. This isn't something the wall would fix. Cozumel is on the extreme northeastern coast of the Yucatan Peninsula, over in the Gulf of Mexico. It's closer to Florida than it is to Texas. And if they're operating there, clearly they're operating in that region, and the Colombian police have already dealt with them. So my allegation is this, guys, that they are going after U.S. tourists. Now, I'm going to say this very clearly. When it came to the issue of the Fitzgerald and the McCain, I had to go to school on the Navy. I had to rely a lot on contributors. I was asked by other channels to do interviews about it, and I declined because I thought it would be representing myself as an expert on naval matters when I'm not an expert on naval matters. A lot of the information I was using, and I was gleaning from USN for America. There's one I'm forgetting, another USN handle, Greg Summers, Russ Elder, a lot of guys that come to the channel, and it pretty much took me to school on how the Navy works and how things go in the Navy. My wheelhouse is knowing when people are lying. That's what I know. And it doesn't matter whether you're a Navy person who's lying, an Army person who's lying. People are people. But I will admit that was not my wheelhouse. This is my wheelhouse. I served down there. I know these people. I know how they think. I know how they operate. If they had wanted to kill anybody, they would have. This was not some vendetta. This was not somebody who didn't pay their bills. This was not some drug deal gone bad. This was a message. This was a message to America. Stay out of Mexico. Stay away from Mexico. You don't want us across your border? You don't want us in the U.S.? Fine. We don't want your tourists here. If they had wanted to kill everybody aboard that ferry, the Zetas would have done it. Okay? These guys are professionals. The Zetas are made up of, and you don't have to believe my word for it here, you can hear it from them. The Zetas are a gang of Mexican Special Forces deserters turned outlaws who are notorious for brutally murdering their rivals and massacring dozens of undocumented immigrants who apparently refused to work for the gang as enforcers or couriers. Okay? These aren't kids. If they had wanted to kill everybody aboard that ferry, they would have. A bomb like this, that only injures a few Americans and a couple of Canadians, is a message. It's a political statement. There's elections coming up, and they want it known very clearly. They're having a very nationalist movement down there, just like we did here prior to the election about, you know, Americans for America, make America great again. Well, they have the same Mexican equivalent down there. They're like, okay, fine, you know, the Americans think they're so much better than we are. If they want to broad brush all of us as just a bunch of rapists and murderers and thieves, no problem. Here's what we'll do. You want to come down here? You want to take advantage of all the beauty of Mexico and all of these wonderful tourist destinations? We're going to make it incredibly dangerous for you. We'd rather have Russian tourists. We'd rather have Chinese tourists. Their money spends just as well. And that's what this was. This was a message to America. And it won't be the last one. I promise you. That was a bomb. And now, America has a problem right across its border that no wall is going to fix. We've made an enemy. Of the Zetas, of the Sinaloans, the Mexican government, the Mexican people, even the good ones we talk about. It's like, well, we don't have any problem with the good ones, you know, the engineers and the doctors and the scientists. I mean, we want them to all come to America. That's not the perception down there. This perception that has been allowed to fester down there about U.S. opinion of brown-skinned people has caused this. And this is, like I said, this is my wheelhouse. This is what I did. This is why, after the issue with the Electoral College, way back early 2017, I turned the channel to South American and Central American affairs. That's all I was talking about. The issue with Panama, when everything happened with the Fitzgerald and the McCain. And the only reason I brought that up is because I know how to tell when people are lying. And clearly Admiral O'Coin was issuing statements that either he didn't believe or he was falsifying himself, one of the two. And now we have this issue. About a year ago I started sounding the warning about this, about how much danger was coming from our southern border that no wall would fix. And you could build a wall tomorrow, I promise you. 90% of the drugs that come through our southern border come through the legal border crossings, which will still be there after the wall. Let me say this again. 90% of the drugs that come through Mexico into the United States come through legal border crossings that will still be there after the wall. And that doesn't include all of the drugs that come through the Caribbean, which I haven't heard anybody address at all. I've never heard the administration once say we need to bolster the Fourth Fleet. We need to put more money into the Coast Guard. We need to put more money, into Southcom. Never heard it. And he's pretty much from Florida. So Anyway, I'm going to go jump in the pool. So like, share, subscribe. We'll see you next time.